Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aligning with Purpose, a podcast where we explore themes of finding your true purpose, from quitting corporate, moving cities, practicing holistic health, and more. Join me as we discover our purposes together. My name is Julie Oshinaga, and I'm so happy you're here. Today's podcast episode is a continuation of last week's episode, and it's the 29 lessons I learned in my 29 years of life. I'm excited to give the latter half of the lessons that I've learned, and these are also some of the ones that have really shaped my years in my 20s and that have helped me become who I am today. So let's get right into it. For this week's Beauty and Humanity, I was having a conversation with my coworker this week about our siblings, and it naturally had me very reflective about my relationship with my sister. Growing up, my sister and I, we did not get along at all. We fought so much, and I'm the oldest sibling, and she is 3.5 to 4 years younger than I am. And so when she came into the picture, I was very jealous and very resentful. And that really painted the relationship that we had for many, many years. Now we are very close, but for many years, until I want to say when she got into college, we still had a pretty strained relationship. The fighting was just nonstop. We would fight over pretty much anything, and I do want to take ownership because I think a lot of the fighting was caused by me. Because I had such a problem with her growing up, I wasn't the best version of myself around her, and I definitely wasn't the best big sister that I could have been. And I had a lot of regret as I got older, and I was understanding that the relationship that you have with your siblings, if you are the older one, you're kind of the one that's setting the tone for how your relationship is going to be. Because if you're kind to them and if you're setting a good example, then of course they're going to look up to you, and of course you're going to have a good, healthy relationship, or potentially. But if you treat them like they're annoying or that you have a problem with them, that's also going to paint it in a way. And that's the way my relationship went with my sister. I share this because now we are extremely close, and it took a lot of growing, and it took a lot of real, honest, hard conversations to get to a point where we could get close again. There was a time when she was in college where I really wanted to connect, but I can tell that she still had her walls up. So the way we would communicate with each other would always turn into a fight, and there was always defense mode from both ends. And as soon as we got to, I want to say, the root cause of it, where we got to talk about why our relationship was the way it was, it really healed a lot of our relationship. When I was on FaceTime with her this week, I was just thinking back to the conversation I had with my coworker about siblings, and also about our relationship that we've had as siblings growing up and where we are today. I'm learning that I have to give myself grace as the older sibling that wishes they were a better sibling when I was younger, because as a kid, I just didn't know any better. And it took me this many years for me to become a good sibling to her. And now I can confidently say that we are extremely close, and she is one of the best bonds that I'll have in this lifetime. You can't predict how you're going to act as a kid, but you can really learn from all the mistakes you made as a kid, and that's exactly what I had to do in my adulthood. Even through the difficult conversations and the growing pains that you have with your siblings or anyone that you love in your life, there's beauty in that too, because you're both growing together through those hard moments. I think if it were so easy in life and you had a great relationship with everyone that you encountered, or you had a great day every single day, you just wouldn't have that contrast to know what it would be like to grow through the hard things and appreciate things for what they are. Your siblings are those people that have seen you at your worst, your best, and they will continue to see you through your life if you have that privilege to. And there's so much beauty in cherishing that relationship. If you do have siblings, or if you have the privilege of having siblings and you don't have the relationship that you wish you have, this is your sign to start to repair that if you can, because there's no better gift on this planet than having a brother or sister. Welcome back to part 2 of 29 lessons I learned in my 29 years of life. If you haven't checked out the last episode, episode 8, I would recommend checking that one out first so you could hear about the lessons I learned for friendships, relationships, self-care, and self-worth. And in this one, I'm going to be covering everything from self-care, perspective, growth, and opportunities. 20s are a decade where we're all really exploring who we are and developing into who we can be. And the more we are intentional about our growth in our 20s, I think it really does set us up for success in the future. So let's get right into it with lesson number 16. And it's going to be what you want in life, and honoring that is going to be far more important than what other people think. And I have to admit, this one is something that I've struggled for so many years. I'm still mastering this, and I haven't perfected this one at all yet. But I am highly aware that it is important to always honor yourself first and what you want over what people think you should be doing. This goes for even people like your parents or family members who might have a certain expectation for you and how you should live your life, and the one that you might have for yourself. Or this could also look like what passion projects you want to start, but you're too scared to start because of the judgment that you might get from others. Both of these categories are not conducive to your growth if you're feeding into the narrative that they carry rather than the one that you should have for yourself. You should always, always, always honor yourself and pursue it, because you don't want to look back on life and regret not ever doing something because you were too scared to, you were too scared to get people's judgment, or that you simply thought that you wouldn't get the approval of your parents or your loved ones. At the end of the day, you're the one that has to sit with yourself for the rest of your life, and it's not going to be your parents, the other people who are judging you, or your loved ones that sit with yourself. It's you and your journey only. Of course, to have a good relationship with the people you love, you're going to want to dance around that in the best way you want to, and things are not black and white. But I'm here to say that life isn't that serious. It can be serious, but it's also not that serious. We live once, we only live once, and might as well take that risk on yourself because you don't want to regret it. Lesson number 17 is that you are responsible to heal from your trauma. Whatever trauma that you've gone through, it may not have been caused by you, and that is completely not your fault. And you don't want to take on the burden to ever feel like you were the one that caused your trauma. But it is your responsibility to take ownership and to heal from your trauma. If you don't heal from your trauma and your triggers, then you're allowing those knots to stay within your body and stay where it is. Because at the end of the day, no one else can feel your trauma the way you do. So if you don't take the ownership to heal from that trauma, then no one else is going to do that for you, and you're going to be the only one that's feeling stuck from it and the hurt from it. I understand that there are many levels to trauma, and there are some that are simply just very, very tough. And I don't say that lightly in any way. But I think it is important for us to look at ourselves and to take ownership of who we are. So start to see it from a lens of doing something good for you so you could live a better life without holding on to all the baggage that you were given. Lesson number 18 is health is wealth. In our earlier stages of life, it is so much easier to bounce back from a night of drinking or eating terrible foods or not working out. I am here to say that it catches up to you as you get older. If you don't take care of your health, if you continue to binge drink, if you continue to have bad habits for yourself, those things really accumulate. I've been someone who has been pretty health conscious for most of my life, but even now, let's say I don't get a good night's rest and I got 5 hours opposed to 8. I really feel it in the morning, and it really sets the tone for my day. 10 years ago, if I got 1 hour sleep or if I pulled an all-nighter for a final, I would have been completely fine. And it goes to show that our bodies are aging and it's not going to get any younger, so might as well start taking care of our health. Building small habits is extremely important because you can't do it all overnight, and you can't expect to change your habits in an instant. But if you take the small steps to consciously make a change for your health, let's say you incorporate eating a salad once a day if you don't eat any veggies at all, or you start taking your vitamins every day and you put an alarm so you make sure you take it on the dot, or you drink more water, you commit to working out, but you start with 2 times a week as opposed to going 5 times. So you hold yourself accountable and you're gradually building up the steps to get there. Every little thing matters and counts, so start taking ownership of your health. Just as any part of your life, you have to take ownership of every single aspect of your life because you are in the driver's seat of your own life and you choose your destiny. And I will share more on that later, but take care of the human vessel that you have because in order to have a fulfilling life, to achieve all your goals, you need your health, and health is wealth. Moving on to the topic of perspective, lesson number 19 is how you judge others is a reflection of you. The way you judge others is often because you're noticing it in yourself or because it's something that you want or it's something that you don't want. Take, for example, someone is creating content and you're secretly judging them. This also is a reflection of you because their actions aren't actually affecting you and they're not harming your well-being. But that judgment is coming from somewhere deeper that needs to be addressed because there's something internal there that's a blockage that maybe you also want to be pursuing something and have the courage to do it, but you don't have the courage to do it. So instead it's coming out as judgment. Or it could be a multitude of reasons, right? But the thing is, when we judge people, it's usually a reflection of ourselves rather than what they are doing, because chances are what they're doing is not directed at you and it's not really harming your well-being. Lesson 20 is your perspective is everything. How you talk to yourself, negative or positive, and how you view the world, if it's negative or positive. Your perspective really changes how you see the world around you and how you're going to respond to it. So let's say you have a positive mindset and you spill coffee on your shirt before you go to work. You can choose to see it as, okay, I spilled coffee on my shirt. Let me see what I can do about it and not freak out. And it's not the end of the world. Tomorrow is still going to come. Today I might not be wearing a fresh set of clothing anymore, but everything is going to be okay. And you can choose to not let that incident affect your day. Or if you have a negative mindset, you might end up letting something small like that affect your whole day. A spill on your shirt, you feel like your day is now not off to a good start because you spilled coffee on your shirt. Now your mindset isn't in the best place, and then that bad energy continues on for the rest of the day. Your perspective that you have on the things around you and yourself is extremely important because that shapes how you're going to live your day, and that turns into a month, a year, and your rest of your life. So be careful with the perspectives that you hold because oftentimes it's your brain that's telling you that it's a negative experience or a positive one. Even, for example, when I was in really toxic environments at work, yes, they were negative experiences, but I am choosing to understand and see that they were actually positive because it allowed for me to take a chance on myself, to quit my corporate job, move to New York, which had been a dream of mine, and now I get to live more aligned with who I am. If I had taken those experiences at face value and constantly harped on how negative it was, then that would have never been good for my mental health or myself in general. Be careful with how you perceive things because that is also your responsibility. This bleeds into lesson number 21, and it's how you talk to yourself is extremely important. Just like perspective, if you're going to see it positively or negatively, you have to make sure you're talking to yourself in a positive way and not talking down on yourself. If you talk down on yourself and if you're negative to yourself, then you're also going to start to perceive your world as negative, that you're not good enough, that you're not going to have enough opportunities, that things aren't going to work out for you. And that is just absolutely not true. You are the creator of your own world. And if you're positive about it, if you believe that things are going to get better and that you're going to have more opportunities coming for you and that the hard lessons are a catalyst for positive outcomes, then you're setting yourself up to get those blessings and to see it when it comes. Because if you're seeing everything from a negative lens and you're talking to yourself in a negative way, when positive things happen, how can you expect to see it or to know that it's for you? you have to start to condition yourself to talk to yourself in a kind way, because again, how you're talking to yourself, you probably wouldn't talk to your family member, your friend like that. So try to be more positive in the way you're speaking to yourself, because that accumulates over the long term and it does affect how you live your life. Last lesson in the topic of perspective, lesson number 22 is you can only control what you can control. You can't control other people, how they're going to act, what they're going to say about you, the past, all those things. You can't control that. And the more you try to control things that are out of your control, you're going to lose control of yourself. So you have to focus on the things you can control, which are your thoughts, how you respond to things, how you're going to grow from it, your boundaries, what you're giving your energy to. Those things are all things that you can continue to work on. And the better relationship you have with your internal world and the things that you have control of, then the things that are external that you don't have control of will be easier to let go. This is something that takes practice. And there were many instances where I felt like I had to take control of something, but then that was a reflection of my own growth. And I knew that in order for me to be liberated, I needed to take a look at myself and to understand where I was going wrong. So the next time you're losing control of something, ask yourself, is it because you feel like you're losing control of an external thing? And if it's that, you actually don't have control over it. And if it's internal, it's something you could grow on and learn to understand yourself better through it. The next topic in this series is growth. And lesson number 23 is being vulnerable is a strength. As we get older, we tend to have more life experiences. And with life experiences, some of them can be negative. And those negative experiences can really shape our lives. The more we try to protect ourselves and protect our ego, we tend to put a wall up where we're not able to be vulnerable with people and we protect ourselves from getting hurt again. The more you can be honest and confront the situation at hand, the more you're allowing yourself to be seen for who you truly are and to be accepted for everything that you are. Being vulnerable really shows your authenticity, your transparency, and your truth as a human being. And that is the least that you can do for yourself to navigate this world and to connect with others. You'll find that being authentic and true to yourself, that's going to attract the right people, and that there's everything lovable about you and that you are very accepted. And you can really weed out the people that might not be supporting you. And that's okay, because you're going to find your true community the more authentic and vulnerable you can be with yourself. Lesson number 24 is that you are capable to handle what's to come. I know that there is a lot of anxiety that can be formed around worrying about the next step and what could happen, all the things that could go wrong. And the truth is, even if you worry about it all day long, that's not going to impact a better result or prevent something from happening. You are capable to handle what's to come, and your brain is just wired to help protect you and to make sure that nothing goes wrong. But sometimes that can be really unhelpful because the fear only feeds more anxiety. But when you're faced with it, trust yourself that you're going to know exactly how to handle the next step. Don't let your fears stop you from living your dream life and to pursue the things that you actually want, because if you want it, you have to take the action to actually go for it. And that requires you to take risks. And of course, that's going to come with different types of fear and anxiety. And sometimes that does cause a lot of stress on your body and also mentally. When that happens, practice grounding yourself, ground down into your body, make sure your body, soul, spirit, all of that is connected and that you feel safe in your own body. And from there, when you're in a safe space within your own body, you can address your fears in a more rational way. You are capable of handling anything you set your mind to, and your fears don't define you and they can't take away from what you want to do and accomplish in your life. Lesson number 25 is you are allowed to outgrow your dreams and start again. This one really resonates to the stage of life I'm in right now. I felt like I had been closer or was on the pathway to achieving my dreams. It wasn't until I had to take a hard look at my life and to really understand what I didn't want and what I wanted and how I wanted to be treated in a work setting, I started to realize that the path that I was on was not really my dream anymore. it once was a dream, but it also started to become a dream for others. I thought that externally it would look good, and on paper, it's something that I could be proud of and to quote unquote show off. However, if I went down that path, I knew that if I looked down my life at retirement 40 years from now, I would have been miserable and so sad that I didn't take a risk for myself. And I didn't want that to be the reality because I only get this one life to live and I have to go for the things that I want. No one else is going to make me pursue the things I want to. It's only me that's going to push myself to get the things I want. Why would I want to be stuck at a desk job from 9 to 6, Monday through Friday, at the best hours of my day, and in an environment that was extremely toxic for my mental health? So many things were going through my head when I came to the decision of quitting corporate, but it was the right decision for me to do, even if I had to put my ego aside and to know that it's okay to start over. People's judgment and people's questioning about my decisions don't matter because, quite frankly, they're not living my life. And two, even if your path doesn't make sense to others, that doesn't matter because that's not their life. My life is my life to live. Your life is your life to live, and you have to make the most of your own life. You're allowed to chase your dreams and you're allowed to start over as many times as it takes. Why would you want to pursue someone else's dreams when you don't really want them? Or why would you want to be miserable when you can choose to find a different path that could bring you more happiness and more purpose? Even if you're on your path and you're pursuing your purpose and things start to shift 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, or you're in your 50s, that's okay. You have another path cut out for you, and it's your job to make sure you're noticing how you're feeling internally, trusting your intuition, and pursuing the things that actually give you life. Lesson number 26 is the same patterns and lessons will continue to pop up until you grow from it. That friendship where you feel like you're getting walked all over on and you feel like they're taking advantage of you. Let's say you also are in a relationship where you're constantly arguing over the same thing and you've exhibited those same patterns in other relationships. The universe will continue to give you the same lessons with different people or different scenarios if you don't grow from the situation or the problem that you're supposed to grow from. You might not even notice that that's happening, but if you take a look at your past relationships or friendships, you might notice a theme. So with a friendship from middle school, you might have argued about similar things and you might have felt very insecure about them. And then in high school, you have another friendship where the topic might be different, but the same sort of insecurity is popping up. And then you get to college, and if you haven't worked through those insecurities, then those things still will be popping up. But if you chose to grow from it and work through your triggers and your insecurities, then those types of people and those problems will not start to show up as frequently anymore. As you start to consciously grow and reflect on yourself, then you start to release those patterns that you were holding on to. You might not even notice that you're holding on to it because that is a lesson that you had to learn. And quite frankly, those lessons are extremely hard to learn and might not be visible to you because a lot of people have a blind spot to their own flaws. Growth is obviously extremely uncomfortable, but don't let yourself continue to experience the same patterns and lessons because that is also uncomfortable and painful. You're the only one that can break that cycle for yourself. So be aware of yourself and start to look inward so you're not clouded by your ego. Lesson number 27 is celebrate your growth and how far you've come. I have a really hard time at doing this one. I think it partly has to do with me being Asian American, but celebrating my own self and even the small stuff has been really hard. As I'm getting older, I'm really learning the value in celebrating yourself. I think by acknowledging yourself and the things that you've done and how proud you are of yourself, it allows you to appreciate everything that you've gone through. If you don't take the time to actually sit down and appreciate every moment you've gone through and you keep going, then you might lose sight of what the goal is and lose the happiness and motivation and your sense of purpose through it, because you're keep on chugging along and you're conditioning yourself that you're not going to get rewarded no matter how hard you work. That simply is just not healthy. Even if it's just a small celebration where you take yourself out to ice cream or you get dinner with a friend and you take the time to be present and really reflect on how far you've come. Those things are extremely critical for your inner child to feel heard and seen, and for you to be doing the best job that you are doing. So if you need that reminder, you deserve to celebrate yourself and take a moment to slow down and really appreciate how far you've come, because you're doing it, and that's a lot to celebrate. The last topic I want to get into is opportunities, and lesson number 28 is close doors to open more. What I mean by that is you have so many life paths ahead of you based off of the current decisions you make. I'm going to give a tiny example, and let's say you join a run club and you start running for the first time. That's going to lead to different types of opportunities. Like you might meet a new friend group and that you start to hang out with more frequently, and that leads to a job opportunity, and that leads to a different type of opportunity. Or that you join this run club and you start to really get into fitness, and then you start to realize how important your health is, and then you go down that path where you're understanding the importance of nutrition, eating the right foods, and then that becomes a big part of your life. Or let's say on the other end, you're at a job and you don't like your job. You could go one of two ways, right? You can either quit your job and find more pathways for you because you're closing that door to open more, or you could stay at this job and this door will also lead to different types of opportunities. Maybe it's a promotion in a job that you don't like, and down the line, you're going to continue to open the doors that are in your current pathway, and that's going to shape the life that you live. The bottom line is that there are so many different life paths cut out for you. You just have to choose what you want, and you are the chooser of your own life. It's really up to you to create your destiny. Are you going to work on yourself so you create more opportunities for you, so you are more energetically aligned to receive the things that you deserve? Or are you going to stay stuck and continue in the pathway that you don't really want? Those are still decisions that are up to you to make, but understand that there are a ton of opportunities. You just have to be open to receiving them and to make sure that you're conscious about your own growth in order for you to be in a place where you could receive them. Yes, that can be really scary, but maybe we should be more scared about living a life that we didn't want, because living in safety doesn't equate living a happy or fulfilling life. Last but not least, you are never too old to try again or start over. As someone who will be closing out their 20s soon, I have to say in my mid-20s, I was really scared of aging and to lose the opportunities because I thought I would be too old for them the more I got older. The thing I'm realizing is that as I'm getting older and the more life experiences that I have and the more growth that I'm going through, I'm realizing that there is so much life ahead of us, and we can create our dream life the more we choose ourselves every single day. The narrative that we are too old to try something or to start over or do anything that it may be, that is conditioning that has been placed onto us by society, and it's not fair to you to be absorbing that false narrative. You are the person that gets to decide for yourself what you want out of life, and it is completely okay to start over again, because why wouldn't you if you weren't liking the path you were on, or the relationship you were in, or the friend group that you were in, or the diet that you were eating? Life doesn't stop as soon as you turn 30, and you are opening up so many more opportunities the more lessons that you're growing. And right now, I feel like my life is just starting. I feel like I've gained so much knowledge over the past 10 years, and maybe before that too. But everything has prepped me to start to become the best version of myself. Things aren't ending for you just because you have another year under your belt. You have more knowledge now. You are continuously becoming the best version of yourself. And those things are so important. No, you didn't have to accomplish all your goals by age 20. And you're allowed to have more goals for yourself beyond that. And you should continue to have more goals beyond your 20s and to strive to build more meaning in your life. We're obviously all just trying to figure it out. And that's why we have all these decades to figure it out. And not everything was meant to be accomplished in our 20s. And we have so much more to offer as we get older. And don't diminish yourself just because you turned another year older. You have so much value to give as a human being, and it's truly a blessing to age. I hope these lessons helped you, and thank you so much for sticking this far to learn about the 29 things I learned in my 29 years. I will always look back on this decade and be so appreciative of all the lessons I've learned, the people that I've encountered, and everything that my 20s have brought to me. And I know that there's so much more in store, and thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you so much for spending time with me on Aligning with Purpose. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast so you never miss an episode. And be sure to connect with me on Instagram and TikTok at aligningwithpurpose.pod and at Julioshi, JULIYOSHI. If you enjoyed today's podcast episode, please leave me a rating and review. Your support truly means the world, and catch you at the next one.